This is Valerian, and in this video I'm going to teach how to start building that first base. Keyword start. If you are new to Kenshi, make sure you have watched my previous videos of my beginner's guide, or this video could sound too vague or general for you. I choose to go over building first before training fighters because building a base first before you train fighters makes training fighters easier and will get them in fighting shape faster. Also, I don't know about you, but I want to have fighters that don't get wiped every time they fight as quickly as possible. Training fighters before you start your first outpost will be very difficult. Not saying it can't be done, but if you keep watching, you will see why it is not very practical to start training before you start your base. Kenshi is not an instant gratification game. It generally takes a long time before you can get into a position to win battles consistently. I feel your pain on wanting to fight right away. So my suggestion if you want to start fighting right away is to put that on hold until you can make money, sustain your squad mates, and get an outpost started to start fighting. If you base first, you will have plenty of opportunities to level your fighting skill. Before we start building our base, we first need to do some research. You will need to research every single thing you can until there is no more research you can do that doesn't require a base or a tier 3 research table. If you followed my getting started video, you should have a house in town that you purchased with a working research bench. In previous videos, we built a house in Squin and we built a research table there. You're going to want to use that research table to research as many things as you can, and you're going to have to get the tier 2 research table before you make your base. At the very least, you need to research stone processing, walls, various crops that you will need. Try to research Excel farms before you start building as well, or at least before you start building farms. If you build where I suggest, you will need to research cactus, wheat, and hemp. These will be your staple crops out in the border zone. If you choose to build in, say, a swamp or a greener, lush area, you can try to go for green fruit and other crops not mentioned. You also need some building types, so just research everything you are able to without having to have a base or a higher tier table. Try to research bug house as quickly as possible. It's a very good building early game, though expensive, it's worth it. In fact, just research as many building types as you can. Examples of building types, just pull it up here. You got bug house, you got L house, you got long house, outhouse, small shack, snail house, station house, step house, storm house, watchtower, Y house. So those are the different types of buildings you can have. Now, some of these you're not going to be able to get access to them for a while. The bug house you can get fairly early on. It costs 35 building material, so yeah, it's going to take some time to build it, but it's worth it when you build it. Bug house is this building right here. This building is awesome, and it's got a floor up here that you can put beds and stuff. So it's got 2 floors, a lot of room. Look at all the stuff that I can fit in here. Kenshi is very boring, clunky, and a lot more frustrating without mods. I highly suggest you get the better crop fences mod and longer mercenary contracts mod before building your first base. The 256 recruitment limit mod is also a must. Just trust me on this one. Compressed textures is a good idea as well to cut the lag time when you're loading into a new area. You will also want to have a good amount of cats, around 45 to 100,000. You don't have to have exactly that much. You could have a little under or a little over. You want to get as much cats as you possibly can before you take on this endeavor. Enough to hire mercenaries and to buy supplies and various other things. Watch my thief tutorial on how to make good money early game. If you've been following my first 2 videos, you should have a thief already in your squad, so you should have plenty of money to support building this base. Once you have done all of this, we can get started building our first base. The first thing you're going to want to do is get your researcher out who has decent science skill, and you'll want to find a suitable area by prospecting. In this video, I'm going to show you what I did and what you should probably do if you are new and chose the default wanderer scenario. However, if you base somewhere else, the same principles I teach here will still apply. I prospected all over the border zone and found an area right outside of Squin. It is pretty important to get a base near a town so you can buy and sell various goods. However, basing next to Stack might also be a good option. I based right about here, so it's kind of conveniently tucked between the hub and Squin. I wish it was closer to Stack, but I searched all around this area, and this area right here, it's almost like a peninsula between the 2 roads. This is the best spot in the border zone that I've been able to come up with. The enemies around Stack are not too tough from what I've seen. Just steer clear of Vane. That's the purple-red area northwest of the hub. There are beak things and blood spiders there. This area is dangerous. Don't go here. If you want to base around around here. I'm not really familiar with basing around this area here in Okran's Gulf. From what I've seen, it doesn't seem to be too much harder than basing in the border zone, from what I've heard as well. I don't know everything in Kenshi. If you are new enough to not know what beak things and blood spiders are, then you probably shouldn't be building anywhere outside the border zone. So yeah, if you're new enough to not be familiar with those types of monsters, you don't want to leave the border zone, trust me, they will kill you. I could not find anything closer to stack while staying in the border zone, where the enemies are far easier. You want your first time basing as a beginner to be in an area that has weaker enemies. I don't think you want to be attacked by beak things and blood spiders right after you build your base. Don't mistake me though, starting a base is still going to be tough, and the raids you will be facing will more than challenge your squad. I suggest going where I went here to start off. I did all the boring work for you. There pretty much is nothing that has all the resources in one spot like this area that we are gonna start with up here. Yeah, so this area right here, you come down, there's a path here. Now I can't go any further, but you can see Squin right down there. So it's straight from Squin. You go straight up the hill here, past the intersection, and it's on this hill here. You see how it's nice and flat compared to a lot of other areas around here. See how convenient it is. Like, I don't have to build any walls back here. I just have to build walls here, and a little bit there, and a little bit here, and a little bit there. And that's pretty much it. The rest is tucked away in a nice defensible position. All of this is what I have been able to do with this location. If I based in another area without the basic essentials this location has, I would not be able to build all that you see here, nor would it function the way it does. You can have a city this size too, especially if you install the mods I have suggested. It's right up the hill from Squin, so trading goods you will produce at your base is easy. You can also run to the guards if things get really bad at your base. This spot also is very fertile compared to most of the hub elsewhere. You want to find a place that has good fertility, can grow food such as wheat and cactus, has copper, has iron, has stone, has water, is in a somewhat defensible spot, though with enough walls you can make just about anything defensible. The location should also be able to grow hemp and have enough flat area to build. You must have a roughly level area large enough to support many crop fields, as you see here. Just 2 or 3 will not be enough to make a difference. Eventually you will want as many fields as I have here as you see on my screen. This spot has all those things I listed. If you followed my first 2 videos, you will want to continue by taking your researcher here. Once you're in this area with your researcher, select them and hit the prospect button on the bottom right corner of your screen. Okay, so Fumin here, this is my research area. Fumin here is my prospector. He's my science guy. So I'm gonna go to him. I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna hit prospect at the bottom right corner of my screen. Unpause, and bam. So we have this window here that opens up. The biggest things you want to look for here are water and fertility. If your area doesn't have at least close to 100 fertility for the majority of the area where you're going to build and at least 50% water in some spots, don't bother. Find a different area. As you can see in this window here, there is green everywhere on this thumbnail. Wherever you're going to have your farms, there needs to be green there. I am not going to go into detail about fertility mechanics here. There are plenty of videos out there that discuss this. Also, the environment as seen here shows you what crops you can plant here successfully. In this case, we have arid 100%, but green is only 10% right here. So we will be planting arid crops like cactus and not planting crops like green fruit. Also, you will want to do this near a copper and an iron resource node. Needs to be inside your base or a short distance away from the base. Preferably in the base like we have here. So we have a copper resource node and an iron resource node right here. Clicking on iron or copper will show you where each node is in your area. Click between iron and copper and see where they overlap. So go back to the box with the prospecting thumbnail. I click iron. Now I had it on fertility and you see green everywhere. In water, you see green everywhere in the roughly the same spots. You hit stone, indicated by the green spots, and you see iron, and all these little green dots shows you where iron is. And all these green dots, when you click copper right here, all the green dots are copper nodes that you can go physically mine out in the world. So click between iron and copper and see where they overlap. This is a good way to tell where good base locations are. Pick an overlap spot that has 100% fertility, ideally. Now you know why I chose this spot to build. Because look at all that. Everything is in this spot, roughly. See right here? Iron is there, and copper is there. So when you see that, when you see this overlap like this, it's telling you where the good spots to build are. Also, make sure there is stone at least somewhat nearby. Again, you'll see why I chose this spot. So again, you click stone and it's right here. Now, there are other areas that match up like this, but they do not have the enormous flat area that this spot has. This spot's huge, and I could easily expand it to over here, but I'm not going to do that. As you can see, all the farms can be built on it. It's flat enough for farms. It's flat enough for buildings. So you need a big area like this if you want to do endgame stuff. So, okay, so we have found our spot. Good. Now we need to place our first building. Your first building should be a stone mine. So I put my stone mine right here. See this stone mine? Now mine says stone mine 2, yours is going to be regular stone mine. This is conveniently located next to the iron and copper resource here. You can get all your mining done in one spot. You see the copper resource here, the iron resource here, and then you have the stone mine. And then I have all my machines that are next to them and all my storage boxes. So you can, this is like a one-stop shop for all the resources that this base uses. Once you build the stone mine, you will want to visit the hub and stack and recruit 2 mercenary squads for as long as you can afford. Make sure to tell them to guard the outpost, not the bodyguards option. So yeah, don't use the bodyguards option, use the guard my outpost option. Mercenaries are what you are going to use to train fighters later on. Mercenaries will protect your base and kill raiders. So if you were wondering, how the hell am I going to build a base? Everything attacks me all the time and I get killed all the time and I can't fight anything. Well, mercenaries solve that problem. You simply run to them when you're in trouble. They'll hang out at your base and wander around, and when they see enemies, they will attack them as a group. Mercenaries are an equalizer in this game. They allow you to build your base and get big until you can train your own fighters, and your own fighters are strong enough to deal with threats to the base. I still use mercenaries right now because even though I have a 20-30 warriors and some medics that can whoop the crap out of anything that moves, I still like to leave my base with this squad, so I don't have to keep him here at the squad. I have the mercenaries guarding the base in case something attacks me, which hasn't happened in a while. So when you get to endgame, you can do that. Once you have a fighting squad, you can set them to fight enemies as a job. Do this early and have a medic or 2 to heal them. They will help your mercenaries in battle, and in turn will get stronger with the experience gained from these battles. The mercenaries will keep your fighting squad from wiping in the beginning, or at least keep them from dying. Make sure you have 2 squads of mercenaries. 1 squad won't be enough. You want numbers here. You don't have to have a squad of fighters right away, but you can start now if you want to. I won't cover fighting in this video though. Once you recruited at least 2 mercenary groups, again, 1 is not enough, they will travel for a bit to your base. Next, you will want to build a stone processor. This will allow you to make your own building material, which you will need a lot of. Set the game speed to fastest and watch your workers work. So the stone processor is right here. Now I have a stone processor 3, you'll only be able to work with a stone processor 1 at first, or 2 or whatever. Next, you will want to build a small shack to store items in. Don't build general storage boxes, they are buggy. Just go with the chest. So I have this little shack here that I don't really use anymore. But yeah, this is where I stored items in the beginning. Also, having storage boxes for building material and stone will also be required. That way you can assign jobs for stone mining and processing. So notice I have the building material storage here. I have the stone storage here, and they're next to the stone processor and the stone mine. Let me save you some pain here by recommending the Adventurers Guild, lore-friendly recruitment mod. You'll need to start recruiting more squad mates if you want a bigger base, and if you want fighters. In vanilla, once you recruit an NPC, they are gone. The inns don't refill with new NPCs, so this mod is a great fix for this. At some point after you place your first building in your outpost, you will be attacked. The area we picked has 3 things you will have to deal with, possibly 4, on a consistent recurring basis. Prayer Day, Tribute, Band of Bones, and possibly Black Dragon Ninjas. For me, Black Dragon Ninja raids have been bugged and they don't attack my base for some reason, but that may not be your experience. Band of Bones raids will be a real threat and a source of frustration early on during your building. Prayer Day is not a raid, but can turn into one if you ignore or offend the Prayer Day priest or whatever. Make sure you have a Book of Holy Flame in your human character's inventory while the human character talks to them. If you do not have a Book of Holy Flame on the first visit, that's okay. The priest will give you one and a second chance. Every time afterwards, he will attack you if you don't have it. So make sure your Holy Flame is on your human character. Like, see right here, Bard, he's my human character. He usually talks to the priest when he shows up. Usually show up right outside your gate and start preaching. So you have the Holy Flame in your inventory. Make sure it's here. I would put it here in this spot, not in your backpack, just to make sure. So make sure your Holy Flame is on your human character. Make sure you save before talking to him in case something goes wrong. You do not want faction warriors attacking you. You need to trade with these factions to make cats. Can't do that if every NPC in the town attacks you. Also, faction warriors are really strong, and I don't even think your mercenaries will be equipped enough to deal with them. Just don't do it, at least in the beginning, until you know what you're doing. Like right now, I could probably go to war with some of the factions. I have enough powerful warriors here to do it, probably. I mean, these guys jump kick for 70 damage. I mean, they're doing pretty good. I guess maybe you can use disguises to get into town if you wanted to do that. For now, just keep things simple and tell the priest what he wants to hear. Again, human characters, make sure you have them. Tribute is where the Shek try to take all your food, but if you put the food on animals, the Shek won't be able. I might make a video in the future about tribute, so look for it. Dust bandits will raid your base too, but they are relatively easy to deal with. Band of Bones is a real threat. In the beginning, you will need every squad mate in the fight to repel them. Make sure you have good medics and plenty of beds. Make lots of prisoner cages to throw unconscious raiders in so they don't keep waking up randomly to repeatedly attack you. Take their gear and let them die. Throw the bodies in the corpse disposer. It's called corpse furnace, so make sure you research that. You want to assign someone to the corpse disposer or the corpse furnace as a job. Maybe even several squad mates to this task. So they'll pick them up, they'll keep running the dead bodies back and forth to the corpse furnace. They'll take them out of the cages too and put them in there. Next thing you'll want to do is start building walls, where you want your base boundary to be. So wherever you want your base boundary to be, you're going to want to put these walls. You will have to figure this out as well as how to properly place walls. I simply do not have the time to go over that in this video. Build your walls, make sure you enclose a large area, you will need it. I built my walls like this here. So again, I'll show you again, and this is how I built my walls. There's a little spot back here that you'll need to patch up. Don't forget about that. But the rest of this back here, no walls. You don't need them. Just the best way to tell where you should build the wall and where you don't need to. Okay, move your cursor around when you have a squad member selected. If the slash circle shows up, wherever that shows up, you can't go there, okay? So you can't go back here, they can't go up here, okay? They can't go up here, they can go up here. You have the mouse goes all the way up there, so I needed to put a wall there. Okay, they can climb up this too, so wherever you have a straight cursor that doesn't change into a circle with a slash in it is where you'll need to place walls. Same here, they can't go up here, as you can see. They can't go up here, but they can go up here. As you can see, the cursor changed. And then I don't need to put them up here either. Next, you'll want to build a bug house for farming stuff, like this right here, where I have all my food stations. And I have all my food barrels here, my crop barrels. Honestly, I would build more bug houses than what I got here. Bug houses are the best medium building in the game, in my opinion. You don't have to build your base like mine, but I'll show you what I did in case you want to copy it. Make sure you have the better crop fences mod before you start building farms, or you will regret it, trust me. The vanilla fences are virtually impossible to see clearly, making it a real pain when assigning farmers and placing farms neatly and taking advantage of every square inch of space you have available to you. You can see already it's a little tight here, and I have a lot of space too. I mean, the farms look crappy enough with the crop fences mod. For this area we are building, you will need many farms to supply yourself with free food, rum, grog, cloth, and drugs. Build one of each farm type at a time. Otherwise, you will have to manually tell each squad mate each trip to do so. What I mean by that is, if you queue up a bunch of farms at once, if you confirm a bunch of farms at once, they'll spread all the resources evenly over all those farms instead of just building one at a time. So you have to only confirm one at a time and build one farm at a time, or your squad mates will never finish building the farm. Only make XL farms. You want to maximize output of your farms where you won't have to dismantle them later. That's a pain. Just place one cactus, one wheat, and one hemp farm to start with. Once those those are complete, keep building one at a time until you have about 6 cactus farms, 4 wheat farms, and 2 hemp farms. After that, you can expand from there at your own pace. Cactus will be your main staple. That's where you make rum, a high-selling commodity, and dust witches, some of the best food in the game. In this game where I'm at right now, I have 20 XL cactus farms, nearly 20 XL wheat farms, and only 3 hemp farms. Once you place your farms, make sure you place a couple water wells. You will need storage for cactus, wheat, and hemp, which we will be growing here for this series. You will want some more bug houses for things like beds and storage. At some point, you'll want to start processing iron. Most buildings and objects you can build require building material, iron, or a combination of both. You'll also want to make a battery shack like this right here. Now, one of these shacks used to hold batteries, but I have a battery building right here, and that's where I have all my batteries now. And you can see how much battery charge you have by looking at this number right here. Then you want to make wind generators. Wind generators will power your base. These guys right here, I made a lot of them, as you can see, and they add numbers to this right here. So my power is 875. With your wind generators, every once in a while, you'll occasionally run out of wind power. There just won't be any wind, and you'll lose direct power from your wind generators. That's where the batteries come in. So you make enough batteries and enough wind generators to charge the batteries, so when the wind runs out, the batteries will hold up until the wind comes back and starts powering your base again. So that's how you deal with that. Now that you've built the essentials, I will give you a brief tour of my endgame base as a model of what you can work towards. So you see my iron and stone stuff. I have lots of iron plate storage and iron ore storage. Okay, I have copper storage and my stone processor, mine. I got 2 iron refineries. Or 3 actually, 3 iron refineries and a steel refinery, but that's for later endgame. I need all this iron to build stuff, but also more importantly to build gear, which can sell for really good money. So there's that right there, and also really gear up my squad mates really well. You can't see it, but in this building right here, this is where I store my armor and stuff, my extra armor that I'm gonna sell that I haven't sold yet. As you can see, these are all my farms. I have almost 20 wheat farms again. Like I have lots of farms. You're gonna want lots of farms to power your base, especially if you have a lot of squad mates like I do. You saw the corpse disposal. So this is kind of the goods processing area. So you have your bread machines here. You have your fuel storage. You can use hemp to make fuel for your small generators, but I haven't used small generators in a long time because I don't really need them because I have lots of batteries. But there was a time when I didn't have them and I relied on these generators heavily. Generators are also in case you don't have enough wind generators or you run out of power, you can kick on the backup generators. Okay, so hemp processor for making drugs. Got the grog machine here for making grog, which is basically more expensive rum, except it's basically wheat's version of rum. And then you have rum stills. Use cactus to make those. This building has my cactus storage. So this is where I process all my food and my alcohol and the stuff. This is where I process all the farming goods. The smithy, it's over here. This is where I make all my gear, my armor, chainmail sheets, armor plating, which sells really good too, but the armor sells for even better. So I have a prison system. This tower is full of cages. As you can see on top here, I have cages here, and I have cages up here. This building right here is mainly for research. As you can see, my research bench all by its lonesome. So there's a lot of room to expand this base. So the item furnace is over here. Stick items in here, and it turns it into raw material, whether it be raw iron or raw copper. Battery building, you saw that already. This bug house right here, show it to you again. Yeah, there's a lot of batteries and I need every single one of them. Storage area, this is my storage area. This is where I store rum, my grog, and other items like random things like this teeth here, and then we got fabrics. Got more building material. We got stuff like CPU units, things that I will need in the long run. This is where all my medic supplies are, and this is stuff. Just whatever you want to use. I even have a shop here, but shops don't seem to work very well in this game, even with mods. So all these are wheat, cactus, and hemp barrels they store in. I got my grain silos, which turn the wheat into flour. And sleeping areas, these buildings have a lot of beds. beds when a lot of guys get injured after a big battle. Don't need them as much now as I used to, especially during those Band of Bones raids. I needed these beds a lot. Going to be using a lot of beds when you fight Band of Bones in the beginning. Make sure you got that. And last but not least, this is the weight training area. Now, weight training, that's a mod, the weight bench. Make sure you look that up. Weight bench is an awesome mod. It'll get your strength up to 50, and this is where I train my warrior strength, and this is really important that you train strength on warriors. If you don't have weight benches, you're gonna have to like basically carry each other a long distances. It's a lot easier. Just get the weight bench. It's a lot easier. It's a lot less BS. You may have noticed I have left a lot of details out. There is way too much to cover here for one video. I just want to get your foot in the door so you can get started on building and operating your first epic base. So take what you learned here and literally build on it. So here are some pro tips to help you run your base. First, I highly recommend making a farm squad. This is where the Adventurer Guild mod comes in handy. You can ask for a shipment of recruits by contacting the headhunter in any major city. Just look for them. Here's how you make a new squad tab. So you hit the squad button right on here and you click add squad. This one's empty and it won't show up here. Now, if I put squad mates in here like this right here, see if Larispor pops up. I'm gonna put him back here and I'm gonna delete. So that's how you add new squad tabs. So I'll give you a preview of my tabs. I have runners. Runners are for logistics and infrastructure. They're my transportation system. My thief is also in the runners as well. Warriors, self-explanatory. I have medics in my warrior squad that go with them wherever they go. And then I have technicians, which are also medics, but also researchers as well. They're the scientists, basically. I have workers, which are just people that man stations. They don't farm, but they man all the workstations like the blacksmith and the grog distillery and whatnot. Then you got the farmers that manage the farms, and that's pretty much what I got here and what you'll have if you do it like I do. Every piece of storage, every barrel, every station, every farm can be assigned to a squad mate as a job by shift right clicking. You want to assign each member of your farm squad to each and every farm you own. They will start working all the farms automatically. Same with mining and other stations, including research. Play with this and get a feel for it. Assign building to some squad mates as a job. Just put a building down and then shift right click it. They will automatically build that and anything you placed from the build menu from now on. Make sure you equip some wooden backpacks on them so that they can carry more than a couple things at a time. If you have the recruit prisoners mod, throw Band of Bones in prison cages after you knock them unconscious. Feed them and try to recruit them regularly. They come with 30-ish strength and toughness. The toughness is really important. Also, make sure to loot them after you jail them. You can sell their weapons or smelt their gear into an item furnace for ore, which is really profitable when you start crafting gear. Make sure you make plenty of beds. I mean a lot of beds. You want a bed for every squad mate ideally. Picture it like this. How many beds would you need to heal 80% of your squad if they got wiped? Make sure you have some medics. I have 6 right now, but I had 3 for a long time. Again, make a warrior squad to help your mercenaries fight against attacks. This in return trains their combat skill like nothing else can. Make sure you have plenty of first aid kits. Last tip, do not be afraid to send every single squad mate at the enemy, your farmers, your workers, your technicians, everything, and your warriors if they have overwhelming forces. Even the farmers will be able to help by increasing your force's numbers. The numbers of warriors you have is far more important than stats. Stats help, but the more bodies you have fighting, the better your chances of winning battles, especially if both sides are equally matched stat-wise. But that's a video for another time. That's it for now. Again, this video is just to get your base started. I'm not really covering endgame building or every single station you could build. There is simply too much information I would have to cover for one single video. So leave comments and share your videos and questions on base building. Also, I welcome ideas for future videos. If there is something I haven't covered that you would like me to cover, please again leave a comment. If you like this video, then go ahead and leave a comment and subscribe. I also have a Twitch channel. Stop by and say hello. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.